Today we're going to be talking about Heredity and Opportunity. I'm your host, DeCarlo Eskridge, incoming from Wallace D. Wattles' book, The Science of Being Great. You are not barred from attaining greatness by heredity, no matter who you are or who your ancestors may have been, or how unlearned or lonely their station in life. The upward way is available to you. There is no such thing as an inherent fixed mental position. No matter how small your mental capital, no matter what you've received from your parents, it all may be increased. No person is incapable of growth. So, what are we saying? You've been divinely ordained, as we spoke in the last chapter, to grow. Just as the trees and plants have a fixed tendency to grow, likewise with you. There's nothing that can keep you down from God's divine potential within you except you. Heredity. It may in fact count for something. We're born with a subconscious mental tendency, for example, melancholy, or cowardness, or perhaps even ill temper. When the real person awakens and comes forth, he can throw off these negative mental tendencies with the greatest of ease. Nothing like this can keep you down. If you have an inherent undesirable mental tendency, you can eliminate them by replacing them with a desirable mental tendency. There's an ancient text that says, resist evil and it will flee, but draw nigh to good and good will draw nigh to you. Now, what am I saying? If you have an undesirable train of thought that you're not happy with, you can overcome that negative train of thought by replacing it with a positive train of thought. And it makes me think about a Native American Indian that used to go into town each week. And this Native American would go into town. He had two dogs. One was beige and the other one was speckled. And each week, these dogs would fight. The townspeople would place bets on what dog would win the fight. And week after week, townspeople would place their bets. But the funny thing is when the Native American Indian placed his bet, he never lost a bet. So soon his friends began to ask him, how is it that time after time you can determine what dog will win the fight? And he pondered for a moment. He said, within us resides two dogs, one dog negative and the other dog positive. And he said, the dog that's fed the most will win the fight. An inherent mental trait or a habit of thought given to you by your parents in your subconscious mind may be substituted with a positive habit of thought. You can substitute, for example, a habit of cheerfulness for the tendency of despondency. You can overcome cowardice or even ill temper by simply replacing them with their opposite. Heredity may count for something. Talk about the conformation of the skull or the individual makeup in his brain that his parents had. There are those proponents that would say, well, because of the brain cells and the largeness of the brain or even the smallness of the brain, the more vast brain tends to have a tendency to be someone great like a musician, an orator, a mechanic, and so on. And it has been argued that because of a man's cranial formation, to a great extent, this must decide one's station in life. But in fact, this is an error. It has been founded on the belief that brain size matters, but that divine potential within you can override or overcome the capacity of a smaller brain. And that same divine potential can also give power to that larger brain. Scientists have studied the brains of some great people, and what they've discovered is that some of the geniuses had normal, sometimes even smaller brains than what we would consider a child or an adult that was considered mentally retarded who had a larger brain. So what does this mean? Size, in fact, is not the prerequisite for success in mental exercise. What is? As I stated earlier, what matters is that principle of power within you. And you can develop any particular talent and increase the functionality of your brain by exercising that particular function of the brain. As a kid, I recall, up until about the 9th grade, I could not read. And what happened was, when that 8th grade year had ended, that particular summer, I had a spiritual awakening. And I began reading everything that I could put my hands on. What I found is as I exercised my brain, I improved. This boy that was accustomed to getting D's and F's, and I was excited when I had a D because that meant that I was passing. All of a sudden, I was getting A's and B's. I was considered one of the smart kids. And what transpired, beyond that spiritual awakening, I began to exercise my brain by merely reading. For you creators out there, I just want to encourage you. It doesn't matter where you're at in your station in life. You can overcome any tendency that anyone else has overcome. You can do what you desire to do and become what you want to be. When you fix upon some ideal and proceed as in hereafter directed, all the power of your being is turned into a faculty required in the realization of your desire. And what will happen is that you will find that the necessary requirements already exist within you, creator. And I want to encourage you to begin living out your greatness and begin looking at that principle of power within you. You can multiply any skill and ability that you have a desire to multiply. Desire is God in you seeking the manifestation. So if God has placed a desire in you, creator, he's also given you the ability to bring about that desire, that thing that you long for. And of course, we're talking about those desires that are for your good and that will be beneficial to the world. Men such as Donald Trump, how they've been blessed, as it were, to bless, because desire to bless is God's desire to bless through them the world at large. The proper use of the mind of man will build a brain capable of doing what the mind wants to do or desires to do. The brain does not make the man makes the brain. Your place in life is not fixed, as it stated earlier, by heredity, but nor are you condemned to the lower levels of life because of a lack of opportunity. The principle of power in you is sufficient for all the requirements of the soul. No circumstances can keep you down. And this must be your determined mental attitude. All things work together for my good. Every day and every way I'm becoming better and better. And the power which formed man for growth will also help you and compel you to become that person you need to be in society, industry, and in government. And this power is never divided against itself. This is the very same power that's in you, creator. I just want to encourage you, creators out there, to begin living your greatness and know that greatness is within you, and you can do anything that has been placed in your heart to do, because that very desire to live out such a life of greatness, proves that within you is the seed of greatness. Don't allow that seed to remain dormant, but begin living your greatness. Have a great day.